Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the Cryptoverse. I figured we would come live and see if Bitcoin can hold the line. We'll take a look again at the 20-week SMA and the 21-week EMA. Let me just post this in a few different places, and then we will jump in. How's everyone doing today? These are the reminds me of last year at the same exact time. I mean, this is the test. Okay, this is the test we talked about for months. In fact, for months we've talked about this test, and now we're getting it. And my thinking on a test of the 20-week is better now than later, right? Like, get it out of the way, and if we don't hold it, then let's just go down and then come back up and try again. I don't like pushing it off, too many months, because it's not very healthy. I think if we just go up without actually testing it. It's kind of like what happened in 2019. We just went up, we didn't really test it, and then when we finally did test it, we just failed to hold at support, and we weren't even able to put in new all-time highs. And then in March, you can see we tested it pretty quickly, right? March of 2020, we tested it fairly quickly. Now, we're coming down for that same test, okay? The same test, the same damn test we talked about for the last 4 or 5 months that we have to get past. And ultimately, it's sort of like the last boss, like it's like the final boss, the last hurdle. If we get past this, then it should be clear skies ahead. If we don't get past it, then again, I mean, we have to kick the can down the road. If we let me pull up the daily time frame. I'll pull it up on the daily time frame as well, so we can keep an eye on some of these shorter term moving averages. We have like the 50-day and the 200-day. They're getting pretty close to a golden cross, but again, if Bitcoin drops too quickly here, then we might not actually get one. I mean, we should still get it at the current prices. I'm not trying to say that we should still get it, but if Bitcoin just drops like $5,000 or something, then we might actually see, it might come close. I'd have to go back and do the math. I haven't looked at it in a few days, and you can't actually really see it right here because the prices. But again, the price to some degree is just noise. We can remove it. So this is the 50-day and the 200-day. So unless we get some catastrophic dump within the next day or two, we should see them cross, right? We should see the 50-day go above the 200-day moving average, which would be a golden cross. Okay, so again, the three things that you need Bitcoin above the 20-week, you need a golden cross, and then what's the last thing? The last thing, we have to hold it as support. If we hold this as support, we have clear skies, right? Clear skies ahead. So this ultimately will be the test, I think, and this test is going to define the rest of the year, I think, and probably beyond that, right? I mean, if we don't hold as support and we have to keep grinding, if we have to have like say like another 3-month lull in the market, then we're going to have to essentially wait until 2022 before another test if we're unable to hold the line. Now, some people might be confused on what holding the line means. Wicks on the daily time frame don't matter. All we care about are weekly closes. Okay, we care about weekly closes, and ideally, we would always stay above it, right? We'd always stay above it. But on the daily time frame, we can go below it. And also, we should note that you might even go as far as to say you need a weekly open below the 20-week and a weekly close below the 20-week for it to be officially, before we can officially say, we have not held it as support. You would probably need to see it open below the 20-week and then close below the 20-week. Normally, I would just say, if it closes, it's done. But let's not forget. I mean, let's not forget this time where we actually did close below it, and then we were back up above it the next week. So we just have to keep that one time in mind where it was able to get back up above it, even with a weekly close below. Now, if you're curious, by the way, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. Let's go for 1,000 likes if you want to hold the line. If you're curious, the 20-week moving average is now coming in at a very modest 41.4K. All right? We're not that far above it anymore. And I told you guys when we were down here, the most bullish scenario for Bitcoin, the most bullish that I could imagine, and I told you I have the video, right? We talked about this. The most bullish was to come up. I said around 50K. We overshot it because, believe it or not, I do not have a crystal ball. And not to keep going, because if we keep going too quickly, it's actually bearish, right? In my opinion, it's bearish if we keep going up too quickly. The most bullish scenario is up, because I feel like if we go up, if we just kept going up like this, you could even argue that we're looking at like a potential double top or something. But the most bullish scenario is to go up to 50K or so, and then to pull back to the bull market support band. Every major bull market, every major one for Bitcoin, held support on the 20-week before it took off. Okay? I believe. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it sort of depends on what you would define as a bull market. This one here, you know, holding as support here is what led to that move. Okay? Let's go back and look further. It was holding support here and continuing to hold support throughout the entirety of this cycle, which led to that move. If you go back even further, it was holding support over here and over here that led to this major move. And even back in 2011, we sort of held it as support over here, but we didn't actually have a weekly moving average at that time. But in recent history, every single major move that led to new all-time highs for Bitcoin first had to go back down and test the bull market support band. Now, unfortunately for us, it doesn't mean it has to hold, right? It doesn't mean it has to hold. There's been plenty of times where it does not hold. And if it doesn't hold, and we have to kick the can down the road, then you know the drill. We do the same thing again. Like, it goes down, people tend to accumulate, and then you wait for it to come back up, and then we test it again. And then hopefully eventually we hold it as support, right? But we have a little bit of work to do here. I mean, right now we are $500 above the 21-week EMA, $500 above it, $500 or $600 above the 21-week EMA, which the 21-week EMA is still moving up slightly. The 20-week SMA is moving down, and the 20-week simple moving average is going to continue moving down for a while. And the reason we know that is because if we just simply go back, say 20 weeks, we're going to be replacing valuations at say 50 to 60K for, let's say, the next couple of weeks or so, with valuations at potentially lower prices. And I mean, unless we go up to $56,000 by the end of the week, the 20-week moving average is going to, in fact, continue moving down. Now, if we fast forward 3 weeks, let's just in our minds, I know that's hard, but let's just pretend we're 3 weeks from now. Okay, so let's pretend we're 3 weeks out, and we are, instead of being the week of September 13th, September 20th, the 27th, October 4th, okay? So the week of October 4th, if we go back 20 weeks from there, it'll be this candle. So we would no longer be using these valuations up here in the calculation of the 20-week moving average. Right? We'll no longer be using those. At that point, if the price of Bitcoin on the weekly close is then above what we're getting over here, then we'll actually see the 20-weeks level off and start to come back up. Okay. Now, that I think is the most bullish scenario where we see the 20-week start to pull back up, and then the 20-week continues to hold as support. Because again, you want to see that 20-week moving average moving up as we hold it as support, as we did in 2020, and as we did in 2016 and 2017. It was always moving up, right? The 20-week was always moving up when we came down and held it as support. So that would be sort of what I would be looking for. Let's see if we can get it to roll over. And in order for the 20-week to roll over, we need about 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, we need about 2 to 3 weeks to see it start to roll over like that and start moving up. And the only way that it does roll over is if Bitcoin's even if it stays at these prices, because eventually we're going to be comparing to prices at 35,000. And yeah, the 20-week would start moving, would slowly start to move up if we continue to just hang out up here, right? But for now, what's happening, right, is we're continuing to replace higher prices with lower prices. Sorry, we're replacing higher prices with lower prices. Therefore, the 20-week SMA continues to go down. But eventually, once these are no longer included at all, we're going to be hopefully replacing these lower prices with higher prices, assuming we can hold the line up here. And if we're replacing lower prices with higher prices in terms of the calculation of the 20-week, then the 20-week could start moving up. Yeah, I do need to get some sleep. Everything that happened with Litecoin this morning is a bit of a, it's interesting because it seems like some major news outlets are talking about, and again, I'm not spreading, I'm not trying to spread any type of misinformation. I'm just telling you guys what happened. What I saw happen was tons of different media outlets and whatnot started saying that Walmart was accepting Litecoin as payment in October. And it was even officially tweeted out by like the @Litecoin page, the Twitter page. And then just a few minutes after they tweeted it, which, for the average, and by the way, like I know I give Litecoin a hard time in terms of the percent gains and whatnot. But the space really does need something better than, someone can just tweet out something, everyone instantly believes it, and then they just delete it without another word about it, right? Maybe they will come out with a statement or something, but to put that out and then to just delete it a few minutes later, it doesn't really look that great, Like it makes you think like, well, how could they say something like that? From what I've heard, the person, whoever runs the Litecoin page, is not really, they don't really have a relationship maybe with the developers, so maybe that's where things got off the rails a little bit. But it goes to show that you really should verify everything. I think it would be an ultimate twist if it ended up being true. But at this point, it seems like you should probably proceed with extreme caution and only assume that it's true after Walmart themselves verify it, and not some third party. So I would say that's probably something to consider. Because if you go look at the Litecoin chart, look at this chart. Look on the minute time frame. This is insane. Look at this. It went from 173 to 237 and then back down to 174. All within the span of an hour. Within the span of an hour, that's what it did. Pretty interesting move by Litecoin. Well, we will see if, in fact, again, we'll keep an eye on the 20-week. We'll see if we hold the line. Remember, at the end of the day, the weekly close is what's important. So, what happens this hour or today is kind of irrelevant. We could theoretically go to $38,000, but as long as we're back above 41.4K by the end of the week, then it's nothing more than a wick. Here it is. So this is what we're watching. This is what we are watching. Someone says I should drink. I don't actually like coffee. I never drink coffee. Yeah, we can look at the daily candles. So the daily moving averages right now, we're well below the 20-day because the 20-day is like just below 48K. It's 47.9K. The 50-day is at 45.6K, which we're obviously below. The 100-day is all the way down at around 40K. And then the 200-day is at 45.9K. So we're below pretty much everything except the 100-day. But yeah, we are now below, we are back below the 200-day moving average. And looking for support at the 20-week, okay? The ultimate test. The only real test that matters, if you ask me. I mean, it's this is the test that will define how everything else can do, okay? Because if Bitcoin can't hold the line here, then we know alts will likely bleed against Bitcoin and against the US dollar. Yeah, I mean, I was looking at the stock market. It's actually holding up okay this morning. The dollar the dollar has sort of rebounded this week as well, which I mean maybe is another reason that Bitcoin isn't doing as well this week. But you can see over the last few like week or so, the dollar has been in fact moving up. And if the dollar is generally moving up, it means that Bitcoin's generally moving down. It's not. I'm not necessarily saying it's like a cause and effect. It's just that like if the dollar is going up, it means that people are flocking back to the U.S. dollar, and therefore they're tending to maybe offload some of their higher risk assets like equities and cryptocurrencies. So just keep it on the dollar if you're not keeping an eye on it yet. And if we flip this over to the weekly time frame, you can see that we've actually tried. Let's see. Yeah, so the 20-week SMA now and the 21-week EMA is where we found support here. And I would keep an eye on this one. This is a big test here because if the dollar keeps moving up, it's not good for Bitcoin. If the dollar ultimately kind of gets rejected and then comes back down like that, then it's really good for Bitcoin. So add DXY to your watch list if it's not already there. Bitcoin's back at 44,000. Don't forget, we actually did spend a decent amount of time here not that long ago. Okay. And by decent amount of time, I mean like more than just like an hour or something. We were between like 44 and 48K. So if we look to see where we are now, this was 44 up to about 48. So this is where we spent some time on the way up. Okay, because we 44K all the way up to 48, back down to 44. And then much higher. Man, I need to get some sleep. And then much higher after that. Now we're back down to 44. And then the 20 week is just over here at around 41.4K. So the 20 week, if you're curious, if you want me to draw it on here, it's like right here. Oops. So 41.4. So it's right there. Do I think the Golden Cross will induce a big price movement? I don't really think that the Golden Cross has any major effect on that. I mean, if anything, we've actually seen dumps on prior Golden Crosses in the short term. I mean, the overall trend, if it was heading into a bull market, was still up, but in the short term, we've actually seen probably more drops in the price on the day of a Golden Cross than pumps. I mean, again, let's just go take a look. As I've always say, don't take my word for it. Let's actually go take a look and see. So we're going to look at crosses of the 50-day and the 200-day. So the last time we had one was here, back in May of 2020. And obviously we're not talking about crosses to the downside, crosses to the upside. And you can see that in the short term, on the day of the cross, going into the next several days, we actually got about an 11% drop. Okay, if you go back to prior golden crosses, here was one as well. And if we go, I mean, you can see that on the day of the golden cross, it was pumping, but then it still ended up bleeding back down for a while. So golden crosses I would say are necessary, but not sufficient necessarily, right? Like you need them because it just signifies that the prices are moving up. But in the short term, you can actually get pullbacks when you get a golden cross, right? Here's another one. Here's another one. Actually, this one with golden cross, there was a pump that went into it, and then it actually fell. So no, I wouldn't necessarily assume that you have to see a major pump on the day of the golden cross. I would not assume that. Yeah, I told you guys last month, right? In August, I said September is historically bad. So prepare yourself for a potentially bad month, because if history is an indication, September is not the best month for Bitcoin. And at the time, people will say, "Oh, you're just trying to FUD or whatever." No, I'm not. I mean, I'm just showing the data, right? I mean, just showing the data for what it is. I don't, it's not like I have another motive behind just showing the data. If you look at monthly candles, Bitcoin is down about 6% on the month. Okay, so let me say that again. On the month, Bitcoin right now is down 6%. I took every September, by the way, if you're curious. I took every single September and I took an average. Does anyone care to guess what the average drop in the average percent drop by Bitcoin in September? Guess what it is? Yeah, it's -6. If you take every month, every September since inception, and average them out, the average September monthly return is -6%. This is on average. Some months it was positive. Some months it was negative. We've had more negative months, and then also the degree to which they are negative has made it so that the average return in September, if you average it out over the last decade or so, is -6%. And right now we're actually sitting at -6. We're at 6.5%. I mean, we've seen returns go into the double digits in September, actually in both directions. So there have been some Septembers where it was more than -9, like more than -10%, and then there was at least one where it was more than +10%. But -6% is actually the average. And we are currently sitting at around -6% at the moment. By the way, remember to subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed, give the video a thumbs up. Also, I will remind you that we do have a Telegram channel with around 48,000 people. So if you want to go talk with 48,000 of your closest friends, I will post the Telegram channel in the chat room, and after the live stream's over, you can take the party over there if you want. And then also for those who want to follow me on Twitter, I do have a Twitter as well. I will post that in the chat. But yeah, I mean, I said we have a video. We have multiple videos in August where I said, all right, guys, what if we get above the 20-week in August, and then we come back down to test it as support in September, right? And again, if we do test it as support, it could mean we go all the way down to 41.4K or lower, as long as we close above it by the end of the week, this week. over the next couple of weeks, it'll probably go a little bit lower than it is. Okay, so in say 2 weeks from now, the 20-week moving average will probably be below 41K unless there's a major pump in price between now and then. So do keep that in mind. Sorry, I'm reading the comments here. Could we weigh it by volume? Yeah, we probably could do some like volume weighted average. I don't have it right here at the minute. Can we look at the? Yeah, we can look at the corridor. Here it is. Here's the corridor. Here's the fair value. And here are the regression bands. The corridor says the lowest price is now, in the short term anyways, is now 26.4K, and the highest price is 102.5K. People are talking, is DOT still? Yeah, DOT's holding up okay. I mean, no one's going to get out of bed for a $33 DOT, but yeah, it's holding up relatively well. Given the circumstances, of course. Like DOT Bitcoin is only down less than 2%. And most alt Bitcoin pairs are down a lot more than that. Right? Most of them are down a lot more than that. All right. Well, what other questions do we have? Remember to check out the premium list if you guys want to know how I'm navigating the market. You can go to intothecryptoverse.com. Yeah, I saw MicroStrategy bought like another, what was it? I don't remember exactly what the position size was, but it's like another 5,000 Bitcoin or something. Yeah, 5,050 Bitcoins for an average price of 48,000 recently. Actually, Solana, you guys are asking about the risk metric. Solana actually hit triple ones. I don't actually have Solana, but the day that the Sol USD risk metric hit 1 was when it went over $200. I don't have any. If I had, maybe I would have sold it. But we do have the Solana risk metric, and it did hit 1 on whenever it went to 208 or something. Because the premium video we did that week, I was saying, hey guys, the risk on Solana this week is literally ones across the board. So I think it's probably going to do a fairly good job of calling the local top on Solana. I do think Solana will probably ultimately trend higher, but it's hopefully at least good at predicting local tops and more macro market cycle tops as well. Someone says to check out the 3-month candles. let me switch this over. So we had 4 3-month candles in a row that were green, one that's red. This one's currently green, and we only have about 17 days left. So for this one to close green, it needs to close above 35K. So as long as it's above 35K, it will in fact close green. All right, let's look at 6-month. These are 6-month candles. It's just been green so far. In the last cycle, we had 5 6-month candles in a row that were green. So far, we're at 4 in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4. 12-month candles. This one's currently only up 52%. You know, it's funny because I mean, everyone always talks about 2021 being the crazy year for Bitcoin. So far, it hasn't actually been that crazy. I mean, year to date, it's only up 52%. I mean, 2020 it went up 300%. So far, 2020 was much more impressive than 2021. Now, with that said, we still have 3.5 months to go. So there's plenty of time for Bitcoin to do something. But I mean, so far 2019 was a 94% return. 2020 was 304%. So far 2021 is only 52%. I'm interested to see what 2022 does as well, because I think a lot of people are assuming that it's just going to stop at, it's going to stop in 2021. I'm still very optimistic about 2022 for Bitcoin. Yeah, we can take a look at where the 50 week is in case we drop below the 20 week. The 50 week it's now at 38K. Okay, so the 50 week, which is where we ultimately held back in July, is now at 38K. I mentioned earlier, even if we have a daily wick down to 38, as long as we get back above it, it still should be fine. Now, if we start putting in a lot of weekly closes below the 50 week, then that's not going to look so great. But right now we still can see if we can actually hold the 20 week SMA as support or not. We still have a little bit of ways to go. We're still not even at the 20 week right now, because in order to get to the 20 week, we would still need to drop another $2,500 or so. So Bitcoin could drop $2,500 and then it would be at the 20 week moving average. Right now we're still above the 21 week EMA as well. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed. Let's go for 540,000 subscribers. We are currently at 536,000. Any other questions? What's my story on the furniture? Yeah, just a couple of chairs. Someone says I talked about ADA when it was a small cap. Why no longer talk about small caps? Because I don't want to influence the market, right? I mean, like, I don't want to talk about a micro cap. I have no interest in doing that. Believe me, I get solicited all the time to do paid promotions on micro caps, but I just turn them down. We can't talk about those. I do own some micro caps, but I don't talk about them. What kind of shoes do I have on? I don't have any shoes on, in fact. I'm barefoot at the moment. Sorry, the chat's gone too quickly. Um, can we meet your wife? She's actually come on the channel a couple times. If you go back in my videos, she's actually been on the channel a couple times. One was called Fun with Crypto on April Fool's Day. Our family members walking in the house. That would be my 2-year-old running around. If you hear that, that is my 2-year-old. Sorry, let me just see the. No, I don't talk about microcaps there either. No, I don't. Yeah, we'll have more people collaborate. We'll have more collaborations on the channel. Yeah, the Bitcoin dominance is still 41. So yeah, I mean, I do think the dominance is pretty low at the moment. All right, well, I'm trying to read the questions, but they're just going by a little bit too quickly. Can I show volume? Here's volume on the bottom. Do I believe scalping is a good strategy? No, not for most people. Definitely not for me. No, I don't. Uh, I usually DCA weekly, not daily. Daily is too cumbersome. I mean, I just do it weekly. All right, guys. Why don't we call it there? Thank you guys for tuning in. We will, in fact, see if we can hold the line this week. Again, if you're curious where to hold the line at, it's at 43.3 43K or so for the 21-week EMA and 41.4K for the 20-week SMA. So that's where we would ultimately like to hold the line if we are in fact going to get another immediate leg up. But if you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, click the bell icon to turn on your notifications, and I will see you guys next time.